Hey, so today we're going to be tackling a pretty divisive question, and that is college actually worth it? So this is something that people can get pretty passionate about. So I want you to leave your thoughts on this down below as to whether or not you think that college is actually worth it. But let me first start this off by throwing up this chart here just to show you some various costs of living over the past 40 years and their increases in total prices. So we can see that the cost of food, the consumer price index, the cost of shelter, they've all gone up by a few 100%, maybe a couple 100% in some cases. We can also see that the cost of medical care has gone up over 600%, which kind of makes some sense considering the tremendous medical advances that we've seen in the past 40 years. I mean, we've done so much in medicine in the past 40 years. To see those increases in price are pretty justified. But then we have this outlier here, which is over 1,200% growth in the past 40 years, which is the cost of college. And this is really kind of surprising to see. And when you look at this, you say, well, maybe we can explain this away. Maybe our wage growth has been increasing at a very, very fast rate as well. But in reality, wage growth has not been nearly as fast growing as the cost of college. So when we look at this, you can tell that the cost of college has definitely been increasing than the other various different costs that we've had within our everyday lives. It's going a lot faster, which means that it's not as worth it as it once used to be. But does that mean that it's not worth it entirely? So just to give you an example here to really help you visualize this and digest the message that we're sharing in this video, let me just throw up this little diagram that I kind of created for you. And this is really going to help you visualize it. And maybe you can find yourself in this situation as well. You can find yourself being one of these people. So let's just say we have Kevin and Bob, both of them 18 years old. They graduate high school, and Kevin decides to go to a 4-year university to get a bachelor's degree, while Bob decides to not get a bachelor's degree. He decides to not have any further education past a high school diploma. So after 4 years, let's say that Kevin, he goes to a 4-year university. He spends $30,000 per year on his university. So after 4 years, he's at negative $120,000. Now it depends where you go to university. Some places like NYU or Harvard or some other pretty prestigious schools can be charging upwards of $70,000 per year when it's all said and done. You can look that up on your own. I'm not making that up. There's some really incredibly expensive universities that we have in today's world. But then there's also some universities where it might be $10,000 or $15,000 per year. So we're going to average this out and say that Kevin pays about $30,000 per year for his college education. So 4 years, he's 22 years old, he's at negative $120,000. Now let's take Bob over here. Bob, he goes into the workforce and he ends up making the average salary of somebody with a high school diploma, which is $37,000 per year. Drag that out over 4 years. Now, this probably isn't going to be the given here. He's probably going to make less in the first few years, but just to make this example a lot easier to digest, we're going to leave out some minor details such as wage growth, and we're just going to average this out and say $37,000 per year. Statistics are coming from BLS.gov, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So $37,000 per year times 4 years. At age 22, Bob has made about $148,000, give or take a little bit, but about $148,000 when it's all said and done. So you can see right here, by age 22, there's a pretty big difference between these two people. There's a more than $250,000 difference between Kevin and Bob. This is how you can really see how much this decision to go to college or not go to college can really have on your life. So there's this really large opportunity cost here that ends up making the difference about $250,000 between these two people. Now, going forward with this, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. See, because the average salary for somebody with a 4-year college degree is about $60,000 per year. This is once again coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this out over 40 years for each of these salaries. We're not going to adjust for wage growth because they should grow at somewhat similar rates, and those minor details won't really affect the overall picture that we're trying to paint here. So after 40 years, let's drag out these salaries, $60,000 per year for the college graduate and $37,000 per year for the high school diploma. Drag that out over 40 years, and you can see that Kevin has made about $2.4 million, while Bob has made about $1.6 million. So Kevin has made a pretty decent amount more money than Bob has made over his lifetime, about 50% more money than Bob has made. So when you look at this example, it really does appear that statistically college is still worth it. I mean, Kevin made about $0.8 million more over his lifetime than Bob made. Now, the key word there is statistically. See, this isn't always going to be the case for everyone, and this is really probably the most important part of this video here. You don't have to go to college. And just because statistically it is worth it, and on average you're going to make more money as a college graduate than someone with a high school diploma, that does not mean that you need to go to college. I made a video a couple weeks ago about 9 different jobs that don't require a 4-year college degree. I'll leave a link for that video down in the description box below this video if you want to check that out to find some different jobs that don't require that 4-year degree. But you don't have to go to college. See, I know plenty of people, I couldn't even count them on my hands, the people that I know who don't have a college degree, who graduated high school, and they're making over $100,000 per year. Now, I also know somebody who has a PhD and they work at a gas station. So just because you get that degree does not mean that you're going to make more money. And that's really, really important to keep in mind as you go forward in your life and you decide whether or not you want to go to college. So if you really don't want to go to college, you don't have to. Just make sure that you plan something out so that you can make a decent amount of money, or at least a comfortable living out of high school, instead of kind of just randomly going out there and trying to snag a job without really planning it out. So that's a great way of doing it. Now, what if you want to start a business? What if you want to be an entrepreneur? Should you go to college? And this is kind of where we get into sort of this gray area, because if you ask some people like Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, they've been quoted many times as saying college isn't really worth it for somebody who wants to start a business. But then you can ask somebody like Mark Cuban, who's repeatedly said that college really can be worth it for people who even want to start businesses. You're going to learn so much in college. So it really kind of depends on a case-by-case situation for somebody who wants to start a business. But overall, should you go to college? Is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. You don't have to go. There's other options. That's this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a like, share it with others, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.